All right, welcome everybody. We're live. So, after grueling saga for a lot of you, we're finally at an entry announcement list for the 2020-2021 IVRA Endurance Series. So today we're gonna announce the entry list for the upcoming season. We as the RC team has worked thoroughly to review both qualifying splits from last weekend. And we did have a lot to get through. We had nearly 130 incidents to review, reviewing car pace and regulation breaches, and we've been able from that to bring the grid down to 55 cars. And I think, as many of you might have guessed, that there were some difficult decisions to make in there. The quality of the field in both splits was tremendous. We had a lot of returning teams, something that we mentioned before, and we had a lot of new faces. We actually have, I think, the most unique number of teams on the grid that we've ever had. Out of the 55, we've got 38, which is really, really awesome. And it just speaks to the quality of the talent that we have on the grid. So, kudos to all of you guys. But it did make our decision difficult. At the end of the day, that's what it should be. If it was an easy decision, it's likely that this season may have continued on in a way that we didn't want it to. So with the difficult decisions on our end, that reflects what you guys were doing, and again reflects that vision of the direction we want to go with all the series that we do in IVRA. With that said, we're all confident that the upcoming season is going to be probably the best ones we've ever seen. We had a really, really awesome build just come out. The GTs are all fantastic to drive now. The LMP2 is amazing. Just as an anecdotal thing, it's just kind of funny. I'm driving it myself, I find, because I love it so much, when I earlier vowed not to drive high downforce cars. So we've got some really great cars on the grid. How we're going to start it off for today, we're going to go through with the automatic entries. So there were some people who didn't have to do the pre-qualifying. They're going to be able to get right on, and that was from their standings from last year's season. And Casper's going to get into those for us in just a minute here. For this season, there's a total of 7 of those that have been awarded. And after that, we're going to get into the remainder of the grid. And this order has been completely randomized. So we're not doing it in order by class or any other type of order that you can think of. It's completely random. And then, of course, we'll post the entries by class at the end for you all to see. Before we get started, just the slide that you see up now, just as kind of like an intro and overview to the season that we have coming up. We think it's going to be really great. I think we've got some really great courses coming up. In just about 2 weeks' time, we have the 12 Hours of Spa, which classic historic track. With the cars that we have, there's just incredible flow to it. And, no better way to kick it off than 12 hours. And then from there, we move to Phillip Island, another track with just fantastic flow, right on the ocean in Australia. Really, really great track. And then Barber, which some of you have only just got familiar with it, but at least you're all familiar with it now. Amazing, amazing track down south near Atlanta. It was tight during the splits, but once we get there for the race, at least in DGFX, which is the endurance series now, a couple of years ago, it was amazing. A lot of people thought that we were going to have a lot of issues with it, just with such speed disparities between the cars. You don't have too much room, but it ended up being honestly probably one of the best races of the season. It was amazing. I think we'll see the same thing there this season, and we've got a double header. With the Club Sport Series. So, that weekend, it's back to back. So we have a full day on Saturday with Club Cup and Club Sport, and then Sunday with Barber. So that's going to be awesome. And then from there, it's on to Mid-Ohio, another tight, windy track, not as open and flowing as Phillip Island. So that's gonna test the interclass battles and behavior a little bit more. There's a lot more tight sections, a lot slower than Phillip Island, and even slower than Barber, I think. So that's going to be a big challenge we're looking forward to. And then into another good flowing track at VIR for a relatively short race, and Imola, and then finally the 10 hours of Motegi, which personally I'm really looking forward to that. We have a night race. Motegi is a really great track. It does have lights for overnight, and that could be a really great one. And that will close us out in April. So with all that in mind, let's get into it, and let's get started with the first automatic entry.
Okay, we start off with the defending LMP2 champions from last season, and appropriately, they will be carrying the number 1 for the coming season. It's Torque Freak Racing.
All right, just as we wait for that to switch over there. Torque Freak's been around with us for a good amount of time, I think. Casper?
This is going into their 4th season now, so they have some experience.
Yeah.
With us. So moving on to the second automatic entry, a team founded only this year in January 2020. They have inherited an automatic entry from their previous guys as CQR Club. They will be going into their second season of the Endurance Series, counting their previous one. It's the number 2 from Pure Sims Esports.
Nice. And Pure Sim is somebody, at least in the once we get back to watch the races, because I mean, honestly, if people aren't too sure, we don't get to see too much during the races themselves. So watching the broadcast back is something I always do, and I'll have to look out for them, because I just, racing in my previous seasons, don't know too much about them.
Okay, and moving on again to the third automatic entry, another LMP2, a team which is going into their 4th season of the Endurance season already, coming off a strong season in GT Am last year, which got them the automatic entry, the number 12 for Real Pixel Motorsport. That's going to be a change for them. Last season in GT Am in the Audi R3, R8 even, to now switch to a P2. It's a different type of racing, but with 4 seasons of experience, I'm sure they can do well again.
Yeah, I think they're up for the challenge for sure.
And then moving on again to the 4th now of the LMP2 automatic entries. This one and the next one from the Swedish Hellraiser squad, a team we know very well personally, raced against them a lot. They showed great pace last season in 2 classes to gain them these 2 automatic entries. First off, it will be the number 29 for Hellraisers.
Yeah, and it's true, just in our previous seasons with Hellraisers, it's a team that I recognize right away from their very unique and readily identifiable livery. And like you said, we've always had really great battles with them on track, including the finale of last season.
Speaking of last season finale, moving on to the next entry, the first GT Pro automatic entry. The defending vice champions in GT Pro, they were in a championship winning position until the final hour of the race, where yours truly passed them. The number 219 for Hellraisers. And moving on then to another GT Pro automatic entry. This is the defending GT Pro champion. even after a difficult race, a difficult final race last season, which did have to rely on Graphite Racing to overtake Hell Racers in order to get that championship title last season. The number 248 from Team Huizingveld.
Yeah, and this is another team that we've raced against for many seasons now, and who's really, I think, they're prevalent throughout most series that I think you'll see that are private on the iRacing platform. I'm not sure about other platforms, but certainly within iRacing, again, one of those teams that they're always around, they're always doing well, and it's another one of those liveries that you spot it right away and you know exactly who they are.
Unfortunately, not yet on the stream here, but I'm sure everyone knows what the cars look like.
Mm-hmm.
Right, moving on then to the final automatic entry. This the GT Am car, one of the biggest sim racing communities, I think, globally, with teams in every sim on pretty much every virtual racetrack that is available, and also a very distinct livery, personally one of my favorites. It's the German sim racing number 301. Again, a team that we raced against in the seasons that we did, also in their 4th season. So again, lots of experience there, showing with the automatic entry that they know what they're doing.
Exactly, and another one of those liveries that just is, you know, as soon as you see it who it is. For me personally, one of my favorite in iRacing altogether. I think it's fantastic, and like you said, you know, we've raced against them a lot. We had a good showdown with them in the what I think it was the 10 hours of the Nürburgring finale 2 years ago.
Yeah, where they unfortunately were taken out of title contention in the first lap.
That's right, in the Mercedes Arena.
Yeah,
that was very unfortunate. We otherwise would have had a 10-hour battle for position with them for the outcome of the championship, but still a great season for them.
Okay, let's move on to the selected entries from pre-qualifying, and Julian, you have the first one.
We're into the list now. All right, guys. So, like somebody just said about feeling like the Grammys, get your popcorn out, because we're into it now. So, the first entry. 1 second here. Sorry. Of course, I've lost my position in my notes here, guys. Oh, 1 second. So, like I said, no particular order before. And so for the first car, it's the only Austrian car on the grid, and it goes very well on pizza, although that may be heavily debated by some. It's the 105 for Pineapple Racing.
And again, a team that's been in the Endurance Series for a few seasons now. They're going into their 3rd season.
Yeah,
hopefully,
and
they don't end up on a pizza, at least not with the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, moving on then to number 2, an affiliate to a real-life team, actually racing this weekend at the Nürburgring 24 with a real car. They're entering their 1st season of IVRA competition, and hopefully, or they'll be looking to emulate their real-life success on the virtual racetracks. It is the number 205 from Phoenix Racing Esports.
All right, so big congrats to them. And yeah, like you said, with their 1st season here, you know, a team we'll have to watch out for. I haven't seen them myself at all, but that certainly doesn't mean they haven't been around. And you know, very cool that they are an affiliate of a real-life team.
Yeah, it's great to see some of these real-life teams now getting involved in sim racing. It's sure that this past year, the events that have put sim racing more in the limelight, but it certainly helped, and it looks like real teams are starting to take note of what sim racing can do.
Yeah, absolutely agree. with just the way that things have shook out. IMSA getting into it in a big way. Like you said, people have been recognizing. It's great. So for the next one, guys, it's a feeder team to what must be Dan Ricardo's favorite team going into their first endurance series. They first appeared in IVRA competition in the summer series. It's the number 168 Laps at Racing team. And another team I think we've seen a lot from in the summer series. They ran pretty well, I think, Casper?
Yeah, they had some good showings, and of course their affiliation to what we refer to there to Full Send Racing. There's some overlap between the teams, but I think Laps at Racing on their own as well. They had some strong showings in the summer series, and I'm sure that will continue into endurance, into the GT Sprint series as well. They have a few cars entered.
That's right. Yeah.
See teams branching out between the different series as well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay, then moving on to the next car, quite possibly the most brightly colored car on the grid, taking some inspiration in their livery from the Manthey Porsche racing cars. They had very strong pace in their pre-qualifying split, just to fall back from a few incidents on their way, fortunately low, through no fault of their own, which means they are on the grid. It is number 385 for Fischer Motorsport.
Yeah, and Fischer's a team 3 years now. When they first came into GGFX, I remember racing against them, and they kind of started lower down in the field, but every season they've put in an incredible amount of work, and now we can expect to see them in the top 5 consistently. And just with that in mind, sorry.
No, just I agree with what you're saying. They steady progress from this team, and it shows back on the grid again. And I'm just seeing some questions there about CPI. It's the corners per incident from their pre-qualifying race. So, self-explanatory, I would say.
Yes. And just before we move on from that note, a big thanks and shout out to Ben Fischer, who team manager for that team, driver for that team, but also worked a tremendous amount to help us get all of these visuals ready for today, and a lot of the other stuff we do with the streams and the graphics. So big shout out to Ben, and congrats for those guys getting everything together for the season. Okay, so on to the next one. The team looks like they wear a highly visible jacket on the car, presumably to signal to the cars in front that there is some typical driving about to happen. They were able to keep that to a minimum during pre-qualifying race, though, so they are on the grid. And that is the number 201 Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing team.
Again, yeah, we're referring to some typical driving. It's a bit of a running joke, but they've shown in the past in the endurance series that when it really counts, they can drive, and they know they can drive, and they've shown it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, going back to previous races that we raced in, that finale at the Nürburgring, the 10 hours, I think the last probably 20 minutes was bumper to bumper race with it might have been Blake in the geodesic car, and I think it was Hoisingveld battling for the overall win there. And just like you said, when it counts, they race very hard, but they race fair.
Absolutely. They have number 201, but that is because last season's champions elected not to take number 201, which of course Hoisingveld 248. So that left 201 open for geodesic.
Right.
And then moving on to the next team, a team who, from their team name, one would say they think of themselves as just good enough, just getting there. And we agree with that. So they're on the grid for the coming season. It's number 158, Adequate Racing.
Yeah, and good work, guys, for getting on in. Drivers that we recognize, and the team new team name, but they've been around IVRA for quite a while in the past.
And again, driver for the team, and Neil Middleton is the person who is making the race control bots work on our servers. So again, a big shout out to him for helping us with that, keeping that running. It's for us in race control, that bot is a really big help.
Yeah, massive. Yep. And I think the teams all find it probably much easier than the previous forums that we use.
The forums, yes, that's
yeah. Okay, so on to the next one, guys. So this team is named after an extremely luminous active galactic nucleus, spooky, that's quite a phenomenon to live up to. Hopefully they can do that on track as well. It's the number 326 for Quasar Sim Racing. And again, another new team, one of those 38 that we mentioned on the grid for unique teams, hailing from Canada. So my neighbor somewhere.
somewhere,
yeah.
I had to say, I had to look up what a quasar was, but now that I know what it is, I'm sure that they have some star power in their team.
I think so, yeah.
And look at that livery as well. It's
cool.
It's
Yeah,
excellent,
really
excellent.
good.
Okay, then moving on to the next car on the grid, a car from the most experienced team on the grid, 6 seasons under their belts. And it shows they're on the grid again. It's the number 83 for Kinetic Racing.
Yeah, and they've, like you said, it's been a long time, and they were formerly Blackadder Motorsports, so, even further back. And Matthias Magnussen and Mark Torres are going to be driving separate cars this season. And they've been DGFX champions 3 times in 3 different cars, GT3, GTE, and LMP1. So, they've got a lot of weight that they're bringing into the season.
Yeah, and again, those 2 drivers, a driving pairing we have raced against, and we know personally how good they are. I remember a good battle with them at Kota. Very keen racing
Last season, yeah.
Excellent stuff from them. So hopefully they can show some more of that this season in their new Dallara LMP2.
Agreed. All right, for the next one. One of only 2 Swiss teams on the grid. They started out in IVRA competition in the previous Club Sport season, and they're now making the leap into the Endurance Series and straight into the prototype. So big jump, and we'll see what they can do in that. It's the number 141 for iLivery's Vibe Sports, maybe? Vibe Sports?
Yeah, see, this is an issue when you have a number in a name. People can get confused as to how to pronounce it. So if there is someone from the team here, and who can explain to us how to pronounce it, I always go with Vibe Sports.
Vibe Sports? I think that would be a good guess. I think that'd be mine too. But yeah, let's see how they do this season. Good luck.
Yeah, and again, the team, I know their livery isn't showing here, but what they had last season in the Summer Series was, I would say, one of my favorites as well on the TCR. So hopefully that's maintained on the Dallara here. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what they come up with. Okay, then moving on to the next car, another team joining IVRA for the Summer Series, and immediately showed their class and were among the best of the field in 2 separate classes. And I'm sure that they will hope to repeat the same performance in this coming season of the Endurance Series even. It's the number 278 for Maniti Racing.
Yeah, another team that in the Summer Series, like you said, really, really great showing. And I'm sure they've been around for a while, and it's just that I'm noticing them more now that I've seen them there. But it looks like they're very active in a lot of different series, and that they really do compete at a high level wherever they are. So I think for a lot of the teams that have been around for a while in the Endurance Series that are returning, or new teams, I think they've got some competitions on their hand with Maniti. Okay, so moving on to the next one. They are a gaming community with nearly 3,000 members globally, with a penchant for the occult. They are going into their second season in the Endurance Series. It's the number 321 for AOD Racing.
And again, one I had to look up what AOD actually is, but I forget what it stands for, but it sounds quite spooky.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I hope they don't exact a curse on anyone. At least not on race control if we do have to penalize them for something.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, moving on then to the next entry. One of two Finnish teams on the grid, and they are going into their third season in the GT AM class. They had to spend last season in the Audi R8 because that was the car last season, but they are back once again in their Ferrari. It is the number 333 for Usagi Racing.
Yeah, another one I think we've seen around for a while, and they seem to be getting progressively better with each season. I believe they were in the AM category maybe for the last 2 seasons. I remember racing against them. And another that kind of stands out for a very, I think, subtle livery for me. It's simple, but it's got a classic look to it, and I recognize it every time I see them on grid.
It's sort of a modern interpretation of the JPS Lotuses of yesteryear.
Yeah, I would agree with
the
that.
lines following the car.
Yeah,
it's understated but good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, for the next one. And again, another team we're not quite sure with for the name here. It could be a few things, but presumably or potentially the third iteration of the team. They're making their debut in the Endurance Series as well. It's the 103 V3 Racing team. And another team hailing from Canada, it looks like. So be interested to know where they're from, with me being in Toronto myself. And another team first year on the grid. So, hopefully we see some great stuff from them in their inaugural season.
Absolutely. I believe they're also in the GT Sprint Series, so a new team in IVRA immediately into 2 series, so that's great to see. And hopefully they can do well in the coming season.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then moving on to the next entry, another affiliate to a real-life team. I don't believe they were racing this weekend. At least not in the series that I know them from, the Porsche Super Cup.
Mm-hmm.
The esports team at least has 3 seasons under their belt in IVRA competition in the Endurance Series. It is the number 396 for FAC Autotech Sim Racing.
Yeah, and welcome back to FAC Autotech. Just again, another team that we've seen in many series of our own racing. And I think that you can kind of see throughout iRacing. And again, another one that stands out with their livery as a unique identifier.
Absolutely, yeah. We've seen them in club sport as well in the past. So it's clearly they have a variety of experience. So that should come through in the Endurance Series here.
Absolutely. And as we move on, a sister team of one that we've already mentioned earlier. It is actually the third car for this Swedish team to complete the set. It is the number 19 for Hellracers.
Yeah, Hellracers, 3 cars on the grid. Of course, 2 automatic entries, so only one that was on the line. But still, to get all 3 on the grid, that's an achievement.
Absolutely, fantastic showing from them, and I think that's at least from previous seasons, something that we can always rely on as racers are in race control, that they put in the time and they show up, and they're always going to be competitive on the grid.
So clearly they've seen some trouble in the pre-qualifying race there, looking at that slow-mo. There's quite some dirt on that car.
Yeah.
That's what we love to see as well on race cars. Race cars are meant to be dirty.
Absolutely.
Right, moving on then to the next entry, another P2, a debutant team to IVRA once again, and from their social media, from what I could tell, they're proudly flying the French tricolor. It is the number 8 for Devotion Sim Racing.
Yeah, congrats, guys! Another inaugural season here for another team, and I honestly don't know much about this team, so hopefully they can come in and prove a point, as it were. Make their mark.
Make their mark, yeah, and I mean we've seen teams in the past come in their first season and dominate, or at least win straight away. So I'm assuming they'll hope to do the same. To come
Absolutely.
in and show that they are devoted to sim racing.
Yes. And the next one, another sister car for a team that's already on the grid, and a team that arguably has the most mispronounced team name in all of sim racing. It's the number 148 team Heusingfeld. 48 Heusingfeld.
Yeah, it's. I think Niels has said as well that he's quite annoyed sometimes about how his name is butchered. Hopefully, he won't be too upset with us here. So just to be clear, it is Heusingfeld.
Heusingfeld. Heusingfeld's
I
always been my go-to, but I'll have to work on that.
I'm sure Niels is fine with Heusingfeld. I've
Okay.
seen far worse.
All right.
Okay, moving on then to another P2, a team that was founded nearly 10 years ago now, but somehow they're only going into their second season of the Endurance Series. It is the number 81 for TNT Racing.
Yeah, great work, TNT Racing. Coming back for a strong second season, hopefully. Following up on their first one. Hopefully they can put in the work and do well here.
Yeah, again, another team that will be looking to presumably improve on their previous season.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that they'll know what they have to do to improve.
Absolutely. Definitely. And for the next one here, moving on. A team that an impressive CPI count for pre-qualifying, and they are the sole Danish team on the grid, making their debut in IVRA competition. It's the 107 for HD SimSport. And
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
sorry. So yeah, again, it's good to see different teams hailing from different countries. I believe we have 35 different nationalities for drivers on IVRA. So it's great to see different teams as well joining the series from different places in the world.
Yeah, it's great to see. And this was a team that, again, I don't personally know much about, and kind of flew under the radar even during pre-qualifying, which is absolutely not a bad thing. I mean, you look at their CPI, they drove really well. They had pace, so let's see what you can do this season.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Yep.
And right, moving on then to the next entry, a team which we always hope they don't live up to their name. Their livery is a dazzling mix of 3 different flags, but they only race under one, the American flag. It is the number 313 for No Luck EM Sport. It's running with that name and the number 13, I feel, is sometimes a mistake, but
Tempting fate.
tempting fate, yes. But they
Yeah.
have shown that they can tempt fate and get away with it.
Yeah. And another team, they've got solid pace, and we keep going back to liveries because I think just for some it's not a big deal, but for us we really love the designs people come up with, how they present their team, and maybe it's a reflection of their philosophy or their characters, whatever it might be. We love it, and No Luck is it's interesting. It's super bright. It's almost like a hallucinogen type image. I'm not sure if that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I always think that the driver behind shouldn't stare too hard at the car because they'll start to see double or something. Maybe it's a strategy from the team. Who knows?
Yeah. Put the people behind them into a hypnosis and just drive away.
Yeah, and of course, one of the teams who have switched to the Corvette for the coming season. Great to see another car being added to the GTE roster, and some teams taking to it as well.
Yeah, and I mean, big kudos to iRacing for absolutely nailing this build. You know, a lot of the times a new car gets released and it's a little OP for a while, but they really crushed this build. All the GTs run great, and you know, some tracks you'll see one a little bit stronger than the other, but that switches around completely as you get to another track, as we kind of saw in our own BOP testing. So really looking forward to seeing just another car in the field this year.
Yeah, and I see someone spotted a little mistake there on the entry list. I believe that No Luck entered originally in a Ford, and then they switched to the Corvette, which they can do. It's just we haven't quite updated everything to the Corvette, it seems, but they are in the Corvette.
Yeah, you got it. Cool. Okay, so moving on to the next team, and this team is somebody that is, I would say, new to us on track within the last 6 months, but not new to us completely as a team. They're seemingly super active, almost out of nowhere, starting in, I think, January of this year, but have moved tremendously quickly to being competitive in a lot of different series, and in a lot of different types of cars. And, you know, they are in our community as well, and on social media, which is a great thing to see. They were keen to join IVRA for the summer series, which is where they got their start, as I said, the familiarity on track with us, and have continued on from there, you know, making their mark in the community. And so while sometimes they're prone to fueling errors, their speed is definitely unquestionable, and we hope they can show more of that speed in the 134 for Fiercely Forward.
Yeah, I believe even in pre-qualifying there was a little mix-up with the fuel, but that's what pre-qualifying is for, to make some mistakes. Hopefully that's out of their system now, and they can not make they don't have to make those mistakes anymore.
Exactly, and you know, now that we know TCRs aren't going to be launched into space anymore, it's one fewer thing to be concerned about, just worrying about that fuel.
Absolutely. And moving on then to the only Portuguese team on the grid, once again a different nationality on the grid. Great to see. And this team showed excellent pace in their pre-qualifying split, and also came away scot-free on the penalty points front. So they were, I have to say, a shoe-in for the grid. It's the number 227 for Latema Racing Team.
Yeah, and welcome, guys, to your first season in your series. Like Casper said, looked great throughout, and really looking forward to having you on the grid.
Yeah, and in addition to the things I mentioned, I'm seeing as well 130.7 CPI, so
yeah,
keeping it clean as well.
Yeah,
I've seen them in official racing a few times now, and I have to say their livery is sort of on the level of Usagi Racing. Understated, I think it's purple and gold, so very royal colors.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So looking forward to seeing that on the grid as well.
Definitely. And yeah, I guess good luck in your upcoming season, guys, as we move on to the next one here. And for the next one, a supermassive. Oops. I think we just hold on.
Apologies, that was
internal errors. That's all right. So a supermassive black hole with mass ranging from millions to billions of times the mass of the sun, surrounded by a gaseous accretion disk. That's right. It's the second Quasar sim racing car with their number 225.
Yeah, I have to admit, we did have to look up these definitions for Quasar, but they're certainly interesting. And I don't know if there's someone on the grid who is an astrologer or astrologist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting team name, and I think again, yeah, they'll be looking to equal their performance in pre-qualifying in the rest of the season, and in the Ford as well. I believe one of the few Fords we had in pre-qualifying. I won't say much more about who is and isn't on the grid. I nearly did.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see more of them in the pro field in the Ford.
Yeah, and for the first season, having 2 cars on the grid, great showing. And hopefully that keeps up.
Absolutely. Okay, another team moving on then. Another team that is an affiliate to Real Life Motorsports. The third one, I believe, that we have seen so far, at least. In the P2, they will be going into their first season with IVRA. It is the number 15 from Arlar Abruzzi Esports.
Yep, and good luck, guys. Another team that had more than one entry to the pre-qualifying races. And, you know, they showed up. They had great pace. You look at that average best lap there. Definitely competitive among the top teams. And, you know, equally well with the CPI. So, you know, another team that we'll have to keep our eye on for the season.
Yeah, it's looking at that entry list so far in LMP Pro, it's looking stacked already. And yeah, I'm sure I can confirm there's more LMP Pros to come, and we haven't reached our minimum target of 13 yet, so I'm feeling pretty confident in saying that I'm not giving anything away when I say that. There is more LMP Pros coming, and we are very much looking forward to what the racing in LMP Pro is going to be.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's an incredibly stacked class, and yeah, it's going to be a great season, I think, for them. All right, moving on to the next one here. Another debutant team into IVRA, who showed the fastest pace of all in the GTM class, so very impressive by them. It's the number 305 for Vector Sim Racing.
Yeah, they'll be looking to go straight to the podium.
Yeah, I think with that kind of pace, if they can keep it up, you know, they could have a lot in store for the season. And another team that's, you know, prior to pre-qualifying, don't know much about, but, you know, really excited to see how things shake out for them.
And again, a good livery there. A little bit of dazzle going on, but it definitely stands out from the rest of the grid.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, good to have them on the grid with us, and we look forward to seeing what they can do.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to the next entry, a second car from a team that we have already seen so far. And interestingly, this means that both Canadian teams on the grid have 2 cars on the grid. Don't know if that means anything, but what that says about Canadians, it's number 169 for Lapset Racing Team.
Yeah, congrats to them for getting their second car in here. Definitely had their moments, we could say, in pre-qualifying, but you know, overall they ran a great race, and they were able to get both their teams in.
Yeah, and it says something about the team as well. When they have 2 cars in such a class that had so many entries, to get both cars in, it's a testament to the team to do that.
Absolutely, definitely. And moving on to the next one here, we have a team who will be hoping they won't have to carry the wooden spoon. Instead, they're very happy with another, albeit slightly worn out utensil. It's the number 112 for the Rusty Spatulas.
Yeah, not sure on the team name front there, but if they like rusty spatulas, I'm not sure I would prepare food with one, but seemingly for racing, it works for them.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess for me, a name to kind of look at and chuckle at when I see the grid. It's maybe lighthearted. It's fun, and hopefully, they have a great first season.
Yeah, again, another new team to the grid. There's so many new teams here. Looking forward. Again, I keep saying this, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what all the new teams can do, including the Rusty Spatulas.
Agreed.
Okay, moving on then to another team joining IVRA in the Summer Series. And now they have cars entered in 3 out of the 4 series going. But they will be looking probably for a bit better luck than they had in the Summer Series. I think out of 9 possible entries between the 3 races, they only managed 4 starts, I believe, through issues with drivers and technical problems right before the start.
Yeah, it was a super unfortunate campaign for them.
Yeah, and I believe the final race they were crashed out like lap 2 as well. So hopefully that won't happen again. For the number 55 for RSR Esport by G Performance.
Yeah, and so while it's their first season in the endurance series, welcome back to the grid for IVRA after that summer series, and they have a lot of teams they've entered, and I think they can keep up their pace. If they're on track a bit more. Which hopefully will be.
Manage to actually make the races.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll do well. When they did have good runs, they did show their pace. So I'm sure they can manage that in this season as well. Again, CPI of 180, so they can keep it clean, which is arguably the most important thing in endurance racing.
Exactly. And especially with races that we have with the safety car. It's so much different in endurance races where you're only relying on pure speed to run away from everybody else, and after that's happened, you can't really catch up. I think that's something I love about this. It's something I loved about previously racing in a series with the safety cars is we were nearly lapped down once and came back to win just through strategy, and that's something that you can't do without the safety cars. So, hopefully. That's something everybody can, get used to and be able to strategize on. And as we say that, we're on to the next one, guys. And as we hit this, we've only got 20 to go. So we're really into the winding it down here as we get going. So with this team. Another team where pronunciation we're not quite sure of. It takes a little getting used to. And it can be a little confusing with the lowercase letter and then the apostrophe. But it is And Racing in the number 199 car.
Yeah, I think we actually had to ask this team how to say their name because it's not quite sure on first glance what it's supposed to say, but yeah, And Race is how you pronounce it. They're also in And Race. Yes, I think.
Thanks.
They're also in GT Sprint, so again a team into their first season, but already in multiple series. Great to see. See the helmet there matching the decals, so that's already a good start.
A good touch. Yep, I like it.
Okay. Then moving on, the second car then from this British team, and so we've already seen them on the stream before, but their liveries again one of the best on the grid, we think. So definitely glad to see more than one of them on the track. It is the number 34 for Fiercely Forward. Yeah,
and another team, very well done for. Having the drivers and the practice and preparation done for getting 2 onto the grid It's really great work.
Yeah, and again, so new team to IVRA, of course, Summer Series, but still to get 2 cars on the grid. Great job, and I mean, look at that livery. It looks good with the yellow is really bright with the lion. It's excellent.
And a little bit of the change from the one they had on cars previously. I think they've just kind of revamped it a little bit of asymmetry there too, which is great. I like the lion being half and half. Really, really cool. And a new sponsor as well, so great for them.
Yeah, moving up in the world.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one for us here. And this German Swiss team will make their debut as well in IVRA competition, and will look to continue the success they have had or we've seen elsewhere on iRacing. And that is number 97 for Team RSO.
Yeah, this team, I had a little look on the sim racing wiki, which I was surprised to find there is one, but there is one. Unfortunately, IVRA isn't quite featured on there yet. I'm sure we'll get there eventually.
Yep.
But this team, many successes in other races on iRacing, in the special events and other series. So I'm sure they can repeat the same in the endurance series here.
Absolutely.
And look at that CPI, 420, by far the highest.
Yeah, that's just unreal. So I think, and that's something as a competitor, if you're in a car and you see that, whether they're coming up behind you or you're trying to chase them down, you're in for a good battle, and one that's going to last, and you don't have to worry so much about eventual contact.
Exactly. It just gives confidence to everyone else around them that you can race this car.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about. Clean racing.
100%.
Clean racing is good racing.
Yep.
And moving on then to the next entry, a first Endurance Series appearance for this French team after participating in every Club Sport Series season so far. So it will be their 4th season in IVRA, but only their 1st in the Endurance Series. It is number 372 for VEC Sim Racing.
Yeah, and good job, guys, and welcome to the Endurance Series now. After a lot of familiarity with us in the Club Sport Series.
I believe they had a try last season, but I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm wrong here. They tried last season to get in, didn't manage to do so. So clearly improvement year by year for them to make the grid this time. So well done.
Yeah, and that's great work. Something we love to see is just staying committed and putting the time in to better yourself. That's awesome. All right, moving on to the next one. A team whose name would suggest they move between series a lot. In actual fact, they don't, and they're going into their 3rd Endurance Series season. It's the 122 Nomad Sim Racing team.
Yeah, they a team we've seen a lot of in the past. I believe they've been in prototypes every season so far, and they're in the prototype again. Against high CPI, so it's experience showing there as well.
Definitely. And just like you said, experience with the downforce cars over time. Looks like it's clicked for them right away with the LMP2, and hopefully another successful campaign coming up.
Okay, moving on, another second car, and we do apologize to the team for putting both of their cars so far down the list, but just want to say again, it is random order, so we really didn't have a say in this. It is the number 324 for VEC Sim Racing.
Yeah, so super fast turnover there, but I'm sure they're stoked hearing that back to back as they get 2 cars onto the grid.
Yeah, and again, so they didn't make it last season. This season, 2 cars in. So great job from them. We hope to still see them in Club Sport as well. But looking forward to seeing what they can do with 2 cars on the grid now.
Absolutely, and good luck to them for this season. And as we move on to the next, it's another French team. And they'll be fighting the two VEC cars for top French honors in the GTM class. It's the 350 for Devotion Sim Racing.
Yeah, we've seen their prototype come through already, and good to see their GT car in as well. Another team opting to go with the Corvette. Great to see that car represented on the grid. It's I have to say it's a great car to drive from what I've seen so far. So it's an understandable choice.
Definitely.
And good to see their paint on there already as well, and a new car to get the paint on so quickly.
Yeah, and I like that, the matte black. So I'll have to have a closer look next time I'm on track. It looks like they might have some graphics within the red there.
Yeah.
But, looking forward to them, as you said, having that second car on.
Okay, moving on. Another second car for a team here. In the LMP Pro class even. They are seemingly mounting a full-scale attack on the title with two cars. It's the number 14 for RLR Upper T Esports.
Yeah, so another great showing for a team coming out in their first season, and getting two cars onto the grid right away. Great showing in the pre-qualifying race. Another team with a relatively high CPI. I mean, as soon as you get over that 100 mark, you're in the higher range of things. And so 140 is great to see. And it looks like another team that, especially with two cars here, can be very competitive in the upcoming season.
Yeah, and not just a high CPI, but also a low best lap from what I can see in my notes here. 11.9. That's quick.
Spicy, yeah. Excited
yeah,
to see
I'm sure they'll be at the front quite often from those numbers at least.
Mm-hmm. I would say you're right there. All right, moving on to the next one. They are the sole Italian team on the grid, who are also making their debut with IVRA. It's only appropriate they run a Dallara then, even if one of their drivers is named Ferrari. It's the number 182 for PND Racing.
Yeah, it's. I'm surprised they don't run the Ferrari, but maybe that's putting too much thought into it. There is no Ferrari prototype. Hopefully soon there will be one, at least in real life.
Yeah.
But we'll see about that. So the Dallara for now, still Italian, and again an understated livery there. It's white, but it's got, I believe, a star chart on the car.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool. Really cool design.
That is cool. I'll have to take a closer look next time then.
Yeah, do. It's got star signs on there, everything. It's really cool. Really good, really great detail.
Nice.
Okay, moving on. So sometimes they do go bravely backwards. But most of the time they live up to their name, and they'll be fighting fiercely for a championship after their strong showing in the summer series. Number 334 for Fiercely Forward.
Yeah, and another one for them. Just great showing, and in the pre-qualifying, this team with a 130.7 CPI, really good stuff. And I think we don't necessarily expect a lot of things out of the team, but it's a team that have shown that they can race very well and be competitive at the top.
Yeah, and we know we're teasing them a little bit with these notes, but
I think
we know they can take it, and
exactly.
I'm sure that they've learned from their mistakes so far, and we'll not see that again in the coming season. And if they do, I'm sure they'll hear more about it.
Yeah. And so as we move on here, we are down to the final 10 entries, guys. So for the next one, with just 10 to go, after Kinetic, this team is the second most experienced GT team in the field, with 4 years under their belt. And they will hope to be dancing their way to victory in the number 258 for Sambo Racing Team. And another team that we've had a lot of experience racing ourselves with in previous seasons. Like I had mentioned, their 4th season, so they've been around for a while. And hopefully they can keep up the good work.
Yeah, and another team that has a distinct livery. I believe they don't have the paint sent in yet, but normally they run a bright pink livery.
Yeah.
Easy to spot on the broadcast, or even when you're like 10, 20 car lengths behind them, you can always see where they are. That's good. Good for us, good for the broadcast, good for race control. Hopefully we don't have to look at them, but you never know. At least they have the purple, they have the purple lights on, at least, or the pink lights.
Yeah.
So that's
matching a little bit there.
A little bit already. Okay, moving on then to the next team. 9 to go now. Another team in their first season with IVRA, so apologies for putting it this late. Again, it's random. And they looked to be very competitive in preseason action with their lap pace here. 11.9 for their average best lap. The number 33 Delta Sport U4K.
Yeah, and congratulations to these guys. Again, like you said, it's a new team, but for me, at least, from watching, one that has stood out. They've got the pace. They're active in the community and on their social media, and pace aside, they were clean. So hopefully they can keep all of that up into the season, and they have a good campaign.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's again, looking at the paint here, it reminds me a little bit of United Autosports, at least same colors.
Yeah. I think a classic type looking just motorsport livery there.
Yeah, just a great livery there. That's what we like to see.
Oh yeah. So for the next one, moving on here, this team started out all the way back in 2002 in oval racing, but has since been a stalwart of the IVRA series. It's now their 3rd season, and a team that we've mentioned earlier has progressively gotten better in each of their seasons so far. And with their second car on the grid, it's the number 284 for Fischer Motorsport.
Yeah, and look at the CPI there, 392. That's how you do it.
Oh yeah,
I mean, showing experience there since 2002.
Yeah,
I'm sure we have people in the series that weren't even born then.
I would bet that you're right. I was actually at the store the other day with my brother Richard, who I think people listening might know as one of the other stewards here, and we were talking about how the legal age now in Canada is 2002, which just that kind of caught me off guard for the age that you're actually at with 2002. So I would definitely say that there's a likelihood of people being that young here for how long they've been in with Fischer. And I think they've got a new paint on the way, which I'm very excited about.
Yes, I have seen it already. It looks excellent. It looks excellent. Okay, moving on then to the next one. 7 to go now. A team with a large presence across iRacing series and a strong showing despite some bad luck in the summer series. We already discussed that a little bit. It is RSR Esports by G Performance, number 255 this time. So a GT car, a Porsche. Again, excellent CPI there, 196. And again, first season in Endurance Series, 2 cars on the grid. So they'll know what they're doing in the series, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yep. And a name we recognize, and wish them the best of luck in the upcoming season.
Yeah,
and just as a top up here, another fantastic livery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is a team that has been in Club Sport, the Club Sport series for the past few seasons, and has shown their speed there. and they have actually changed names. So, I mean, I'm not sure personally what has happened with the old team, if they still run under that name or if they've just completely changed names. But certainly, the drivers here with this team were under a different flag the last time around, and that is the number 211 Team 11.
Yeah, it's a new name, and previously known as Meraki in the Club Sport Series. Now going under Team 11. It's good to see them in endurance now.
Absolutely.
Believe they've won some races, or at least done well in races in the Club Sport Series in the past in the 911 Cup car.
Mm-hmm.
So to see them again in the 911, this time the RSR.
Mm-hmm. And they're bringing over some great design from Meraki as well with their new livery here with Team 11. Something that if you're a ways away from it, looks very simple, but as you get closer, you realize it's pretty intricate, and I personally love it.
Yeah, it shows even with grayscale,
Mm-hmm.
You can get some amazing work done on the livery with the chrome effects there, some matte. Yeah, it's
great.
Excellent livery.
Yeah.
So 5 to go then.
Oh dear.
The second car on the grid for this team, we've talked about that before a little bit already with their interest in some different things, let's put it that way. The 322 AOD Racing.
Yeah, and congrats on, again, another team with 2 cars on the grid. And I don't remember, was there other one in M8 as well? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I can't see. No, we
can't see it anymore either. Yeah, but
we delete the notes, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, unfortunately we can't see it anymore. But hopefully with 2 cars on the grid, they're able to perform really well.
Actually, if I look on the stream, I can see their other car was a Ferrari. So 2 different different models for this team.
Interesting.
So I'm always interested in the thought process for teams who choose different cars, because I would imagine if you run the same car, you can learn more, but maybe with different cars spreading their bets around a little bit, BOP wise.
Yeah, it could be that.
And driver preferences, maybe.
Exactly. Sometimes just driver preference, like they can feel the car differently, or the pitch and roll of it, the brakes, they all handle a little bit differently. So yeah, it could be any one of those things that you mentioned. But excited to see what they have in store for us this season. As we move on to the next one here. And this team, again, another team that's been around for a while, and they also have another sister car in the series already. Has definitely recruited most of the Twitch streamers, although none of which, unfortunately, will be driving in the coming season. It is the number 62 for Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing.
Yeah, if they can get like Quirk or Dan or someone to drive and promote the series a little bit, that would be great. No, all kidding aside, it's great to see them. They're back with 3 cars in total now, 210 CPI. So again, showing experience there. And 11.8, so this car will be at the front, at least pace-wise, we expect.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay, moving on to the third to last entry now, with, again, experience showing. The second car for this team with 6 seasons under their belt so far. It's number 283 for Kinetic Racing. And another Corvette, a Swedish Corvette this time, which is an interesting phrase.
Yeah. And shout out to them for continued success over the seasons and another season going forward with us. They actually have been very successful in previous seasons. In the 3 seasons that they were the champions, they never finished outside the top 5 as finishing results, which is testament to their on-track abilities. And they've both maintained at least Matthias and Mark, the highest CPIs in almost every season that they've raced.
And, I believe on the livery front again, it's not showing on the stream, but in pre-qualifying, if you were running Trading Paints, you would have been able to see their new design. Looked very nice. Some gloss and chrome effects with the usual blue.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to seeing that on the grid as well.
Definitely, and a big fan of the updated livery. Another one of those ones where from far away it kind of looks like a singular color, but as you get closer, you see the details and realize it's not just one. There's a lot of stuff to it. So welcome to Kinetic, and we're moving on to the next one now, which is the second of two Dutch teams on the grid, and this team won the season finale in their first season. They proudly fly the Dutch orange on their car. It's the number 213 for Virtual Motorsport.
Yeah, I know you've had your Canadian teams. I've got my two Dutch teams here, both BMWs.
That's right.
One pink, one orange, but yeah, hopefully they can continue that success they showed in the first season. I believe the first season they were a little bit up and down, but they won the final race, a 10-hour race.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can win a 10-hour race, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's just they're a steady team. I think you can count on them to be around competing for mid to high places given the conditions and whether or not they run into trouble. So hopefully they have a clean one and can be competing up front.
Absolutely, looking forward to seeing what they can do again this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then before we go onto our final entry, just want to take a moment to been a great turnout. I believe we had 105 unique entries, and want to thank everyone for entering, even those who tried and didn't make it. There will be a reserve list. We'll be discussing that a little bit after this, so sit tight even if you didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you to all who entered, because it has been great to see the turnout for the series so far.
Yeah, it was really amazing.
Okay then, the final entry on the entry list, and again a team in their first season in Endurance Series and proving their worth already with the third car on the grid. This will be.
Mm-hmm.
It is number 156 for RSR Esport by G Performance.
Yeah, and another really strong showing from a team to be able to get more than one of their cars onto the grid, and hopefully they keep up the performance into the season. And best of luck to them.
Absolutely, but yeah, best of luck to everyone who has been announced today. We're very much looking forward to seeing what you all can do. And with that is the field for the 2020-21 endurance season. And we want to thank you all for watching. If you didn't make the field, don't worry too much. We will have reserve lists for each class, and in previous seasons, each car that has been on a reserve list did get to race at some point in the season. And like we said, we're very much looking forward to this coming season. We hope you are too. To finish off the streams, first of all, a big thank you to Ben Fisher, who was doing the directing here, switching the slides. He was up very late in the morning to get all this working. So a massive thank you to Ben. And thanks to the race control team as well for helping us sift through all of the pre-qualifying. That was a lot of work. We're happy that we got this grid. We have confidence that it's going to be a fantastic season. And just to finish off the stream here, we'll be showing each class entry list once again, just in case you missed yourself. Want to make sure that you actually are in, didn't mishear anything.